Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, thank you for listening to Conservatives Cool Talk Radio. This is your host, Wayne Bradley. I want to thank everyone that's listening in tonight. I'm really excited about the guest I have on my show this evening, and his name is Les Phillips. Hold on real quickly, everyone.
Hello. Hello. Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, Les.
Yes.
How you doing? This is Wayne Bradley. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Wayne. How are you?
All right. I'm glad you called in here. I was just about to give everyone an introduction to you. The more research I was doing on you, the more I was admiring you, sir. To be quite honest. And I want to thank you for joining me on the show this evening.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Great. I'm just gonna let everybody know. Like I said, you called in. I tried to get the call in. I want everybody to know that tonight I have with me is Les Phillips. He's running for Congress in the 5th District in Alabama. And Les, I can tell you from all the tweets I've been getting tonight, people are very familiar with you, and they're excited that you're coming on the show. So I really thank you again for coming on, taking the time out of your busy schedule, and coming on the show this evening.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Great.
And
just so I could tell everyone about you, but I would like for you to just give the people out here who don't know Les Phillips, give them a background on you and what made you want to run for Congress and how you got involved in this process.
Okay. Les Phillips, I'm 47. I'll be 47 this year.
All right.
I decided to get involved in the political process. I can honestly say I've been following the process for about 20 years or so.
Okay.
And it came to the point where every time I thought someone sounded well and someone who I can really get behind, it turned out that
Hello. Salute. All right, we have a little technical difficulties here. Les, can you hear me? All right, we seem to have a few technical difficulties here. Les, can you hear me? Let me take this call again.
it's not just for you. When you pass a law, you pass a law for everyone, not exempting yourself.
Right. I had lost you there for a moment. I don't know. Did you hear me when I was telling that my system went out right there momentarily?
No,
I don't know if you had heard me or not, but I couldn't hear everything that you were saying right there.
Okay, sorry about that. Is everything great now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, everything's great now. Sorry about that.
Okay. Should I start over?
Yeah, go ahead, because, it's a great story. Might as well, in case anybody else didn't hear it, I want you to hear Les's whole story. And, again, like I said, I want you, the more I've done, more research, the more I respect you. So please go ahead again, sir.
Okay. Well, I'll be 47 this year, and I've benefited a lot from the American way of life. Has it been easy? No. Has it been setbacks? Yes. But you know what? I look at my life today, and all the things I've been able to do could only have been accomplished here for an average Joe.
Right.
And when you look at Congress, you find out that, it's not supposed to be, especially the House of Representatives, it's not supposed to be for the blue bloods. It's meant for the common guy, the guy who can, know what it's like to, put on the uniform, work in a job, start a company, and that is what the type of people that I was looking for.
Right.
Becoming a congressman or entering the race was never part of my life's plan. But as things started to matriculate last year and started to see what was happening, I believe 100% that if there was a better country out there to live, I'd like to know where that country is. Because there's no other country where the common guy starting off with ambition, hard work, can make something of himself.
Exactly.
Without the government dictating, taking over basically telling you what to do.
Right.
To an extent that it encroaches on your individual freedom. And I started studying the Constitution and looked at their government, and I said, you know what we have here is not anything related to what was originally intended.
Right.
And because of that, we have manufacturing jobs which have gone overseas, and this is the one thing that in my research I found out, manufacturing jobs disproportionately benefit the minority community. And so when these jobs start going away, guess who it disproportionately affects? The minority community. But yet I found a party that continued to vote basically penalties on manufacturing because we have the second highest tax rate in the industrialized world. The Chinese, the Russians, the Germans, they all have lower corporate tax rates than we do.
Right.
Because they know that manufacturing is the key to economic growth. And for whatever reason, we don't see it that way. And when I looked around and started asking questions about what other people in the political arena, what they thought of, reducing taxes on corporations, not just temporarily, but permanently, so they can supply jobs instead of the government supplying a paycheck, I didn't find any. No one knew the depth, and I thought, I'm just a guy out here. Yeah, I'm not stupid by any stretch of the imagination, but no one's paying me a six-figure salary to know these things.
Exactly.
And the fact that no one else has a plan to bring us out of where we are, I said, and I looked in the mirror and I said, you know what, these guys aren't smarter than I am.
Right.
Matter of fact, most of them, they've never provided a paycheck for anyone. They haven't run teams around the world. They were never in the military.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to go out there and start talking to people, telling them what I want to do, and see if I'm off base. Well, guess what? I haven't been off base. There are a lot of people who are agreeing with me than are disagreeing with me because they know it deep down in their gut. We spend $1 trillion on a stimulus plan, and the only thing we manage to stimulate is the Chinese and Mexican and Asian economies because they make the stuff that we buy. And it's all about economic freedom. I believe the Constitution is the core document that formed this country.
Right.
But unless you can put food on your table, gas in your tank, and provide for your family, you're not free.
Exactly. And
so
now that's something I think a lot of our career politicians have gotten away from, is actually doing research, looking at the Constitution, because I think that's something that unfortunately, a lot of people in D.C. now have gotten away from, or doing their best to work around the Constitution to fit what they're trying to do. And I think, again, like with normal people, when we start looking around and seeing that these things aren't going on, that's what makes people get involved. Like even myself with the radio show, I'm just a normal guy myself with a radio show that is doing my best to trying to reach out to people to spread a different message, because everything we're hearing on the regular media is just all the same. And
right.
I guess that's kind of what made me do what I want to do, because again, without me doing the research, I won't know about Les Phillips, because they don't want me to know about that. And I just really appreciate the fact, like you said, your research got started with the fact with our Constitution, and the fact that you realize this is a great country, that if there was anywhere else you'd like to know about it, but there isn't, quite simply. And I guess I was doing a lot of research on the whole race down there, and I've got some questions for you, because it's been very interesting. I guess more and more I was doing the research on the race. It's been about 3 candidates right now that I guess we've identified within the party that Mo Brooks and Parker Griffin. This is the person that's got my attention the most. This gentleman was a lifetime he's a Democrat, and he switched to the party within the last 2 months.
Correct.
And I think as a conservative, there's nothing more frustrating than hearing someone who's not a conservative say they're conservative. And then listen, I don't want to get, because I've done the research on your campaign. You've run a clean, positive campaign, and so there's no reason to change that now. But obviously, when you have someone that comes into it as a Democrat and they switch to the Republican Party, what do you think the reason for that is? I guess that would be the question I would ask.
Well, I can tell you that I can know exactly the reason. He did a poll, and he saw there was no way he could win as a Democrat, and he jumped ship. Number one, he at first claimed there wasn't a poll, but that was funny because I was looking at it in my hand, that someone got it for me. Two, it came out in the paper that, oh, yes, there was a poll. He saw the numbers, and he jumped ship. It goes towards integrity. If you claim there isn't one, but there was one, there's a red flag right there.
Right.
There is a website called primaryparker.com that all it does is list this guy, what he has said, YouTube's about him, and it just gives his record. There is no pro-less, anti-less, any pro-anyone. It's just for factual information. And I think the people of this district, and actually the people of America, need to know exactly who this guy is, because here's the disturbing thing about him coming over.
Okay.
The Republican Party has now embraced this guy as if he has been the long-lost son. Last year, they've spent over
and that's something I was going to, again, that was going to be kind of like my secondary question about that. So the GOP is actually supporting him jumping ship because he's the incumbent right now. Is that pretty much the way? I mean, they look at it as just a party victory at this point.
Excuse me. They look at him as the incumbent.
Okay.
And I have a problem with that for the fact that he didn't get elected as a Republican. He said he got elected as an independent conservative, which is funny because he was a liberal Democrat. As a matter of fact, we have a county commissioner here who is rather liberal, and he made the statement one day that this guy scares him. Here's a guy.
Now, tell me this. How does it that just because he's the incumbent, are they that desperate for the victory that they're willing to bring a guy in that's obviously liberal? I mean, he's voted with Pelosi, and I noticed that you even said he's voted on some of the issues, but 80% of the time he's usually voted with the party. I mean, how does that translate to somebody that would be a good candidate for the GOP?
Well, it goes back to this fact. There is a battle going on inside the GOP right now between people who are principled and those who, like the other guys, just want to win to keep power.
Right, and that's because this. I mean, I don't know. That's what it reeks of. It's like, okay, if he's already the incumbent, it makes our job easier to win this way as opposed to actually earning it. I guess is the scenario, because like you said, this guy was not voted in as a Republican. He was voted in as a Democrat. And in your district, there has not been a Republican in how long?
Since 1867.
Since Reconstruction, essentially. So, I mean, that's...
Correct.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess, though, so before Parker Griffin had announced his decision, had the GOP been more supportive of you? Because, I mean, you've gotten support from people outside, as like Mike Huckabee. I mean, that's got to carry some weight with them, right?
You would think so, but it's very funny here that there is a reason there hasn't been a Democrat a Republican since 1867. I believe a lot of these guys they're too comfortable in their position and they're not willing to go out there and and put forth good candidates. One of the things is that, like, when the party put forth McCain and they put forth Dole, the big response was, it's their time.
It's their time, right. And we've always done, as the GOP, they do follow that company line. It's their time, they get their shot. So.
And you see, but we're supposed to be the party of merit.
Right.
And every time we put a guy up who is his time, he's usually gotten shot down because he didn't have what it took to compete fairly and equally like we supposedly claim we want to do.
Right. And I've seen that you've gotten support from some of the Tea Party and grassroots organizations down there locally. I believe that they are playing a very important part in these upcoming elections. How has the grassroots support still been there as far as the Tea Parties? As I've known, I saw some of the different blogs and things, and they say they still support you. You've still been getting the grassroots support, right?
Yes, that's pretty much it, because no one identifies with the Tea Party. You know, I was at an event, and the Republican speaker said, "We don't know how we're going to get the Tea Partiers on board." And I made a statement. I said, "You know what? Respect for the Constitution, respect for life, limited government, and personal accountability." I said, those were the foundations of the Republican Party starting off. You know who gave those 4 pillars? Frederick Douglass.
Right.
He started that in 1841.
I hope people are listening to that. That's real history right there, people. I hope you're listening to that.
13 years later, the Republican Party was founded on those principles as the anti-slavery party. That's what most of the Tea Partiers want, in a nutshell. If the Republican Party was
that a lot of through the mainstream media, they've somehow been able to transform, give a image of the Tea Parties as something that it's not, because again, they try to paint it as rednecks and all these different things. And I've been invited. I've spoken at a Tea Party event myself, and it was a warm reception. People were very open and receptive. Is that normal people want change. They're tired of the exact same people, whether it's Republican or Democrat, pretty much doing the exact same thing. The lines are getting blurry, and I think that's really a lot. Again, that's what the Tea Parties are about too. Is that the lines are getting blurry. And they're looking for real conservative candidates and people that are going to look out for the people.
Well, let me tell you a quick story. One of my opponents made a statement at a Republican women's event that when the day is done, he wants to go out and play tennis with these guys and have dinner and go to their kids' parties and so forth. And I'm thinking, that's the problem what's going on in Washington. That's the difference between a warrior mentality and a lawyer mentality. Right. A lawyer wants to do battle and then, let's be friends. A warrior looks at these people as who they are. They are 180 degree out from what got us here with the Constitution. So since I guess it's because I'm the only guy who wore the uniform here for 8 years and was willing to die for what I believe in, that I can't sit down and have, drinks and go to people's houses for dinner who I know want to destroy the Constitution as we know it.
Right. And I think that we really, again, I think that's the basis of our country is in that Constitution. And people, a lot of these politicians nowadays are doing their best, again, to ignore it or walk around it. And I really think that it's admirable that again, that's the basis of what your policy is usually, you keep mentioning the Constitution and our freedoms and our liberties. And it just, again, a lot of politicians that are in D.C. already, they've lost track of that. They're just concerned about keeping a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's time for people to listen to the candidates that are actually representing them, the people, and not, like I said, just trying to get a job or keep a job. So, besides, since Parker Griffin has thrown his name in the hat, before that, the GOP was more supportive. How have you enjoyed the campaigning? What's your typical day like?
We start off early in the morning. I have the beginning. On most days, we start off with, I have a group of gentlemen who we attend a Bible study with, and I think that's very important because I don't want to be one of the people I make fun. There's us and them. Right. I don't ever want to be a them. And I think part of that is because we have these egos, because we're living in these bodies of flesh, that when people tell you you're great long enough, you start to believe it. Well, the book I read says all is vanity. The only thing that's worth doing is doing it for the Lord. And I see that is the way I start most of my days. And I usually leave that to go into a breakfast with some folks and making phone calls, having lunch with other groups of people or appointments, checking with my campaign manager pretty much from the time I get up, and having various events, meeting people. And like last night, we had a little event. I didn't get home till about midnight, but then I had to be up at a Bible study at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
So sometimes you burn the candle at both ends. But I'll tell you this. I have met the greatest people I have ever met in my life on the campaign trail. You watch the news, you think the world is gone. No. There's still an American spirit out there, whether they're white, black, purple, everything in between. There's an American spirit that people understand and they want back. They're tired of hearing about their country being, the cause of every disaster out there, because they know it's not true.
You're definitely not with the Obama apology world tour that he had last year, then, huh?
Man, I left an island that wanted to do. I don't want to be the same as everyone else. Why the heck would my parents have come here? They came here for opportunities for their children. And you know what? We have benefited from that. It takes guts to leave what you know, to come to someplace you don't know, and to try to make a life for yourself and your kids. Exactly. It happens here. It doesn't. No one wants to run to Cuba. No one wants to run to China. They all want to come here. And the reason is, and I go back to it again, freedom. And the freedom, one of the biggest freedoms, other than to worship and to provide for your family.
Exactly.
And that is the message that people get. I don't know about the guys at the top, but I know the people at the bottom who make the lights work, who make the food deliveries to the grocery stores.
Exactly.
They know it, and that's all they want. A lot of people don't mind other people getting rich because you know what? They're content with what they do. They know that if they got a great idea, they can get out there and do it too.
Exactly. Everyone in America has a chance. There's no excuse for not trying to be, for not to be successful in America. If you try and you're willing to work hard, the results usually will provide that you'll be successful here. Man, that's the beauty of being in America. Hard work hard work and having goals and accomplishing those goals you will meet some success here in America. That's why, like you said, people come here. When did you start identifying yourself again? As a young black conservative myself, I always like to ask, when did you start identifying yourself with the Republican Party, and how long have you done that?
That probably started when I started being politically aware.
Okay.
And that happened when I was about 14 years old, because I'm a little bit of a nerdy guy because I like to read a lot of history.
Okay.
And one of the things that caught my attention during World War II was the fact that when the Germans invaded Poland, they found a mass grave of over 50,000 people. And the Germans, who were not known to be very nice people going into the eastern part of Europe, they called the Swiss Red Cross and said, "See this? We did not do this." It turned out that they were 50,000 of the Polish officers and the Polish leadership that was in the eastern part of Poland where the Russians were. So I started identifying that these are not nice people by any stretch of the imagination. And they do mean everything they intend to do to us. So I looked at, okay, America, land of the free, home of the brave. Yeah, we have problems, but you know what? What we have here is much better than what they have for the average Soviet guy in the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
And I looked at the parties, and I saw one was appeasement, and I remember, you know what? That sounds very much like Neville Chamberlain, which caused one of the reasons we have World War II took place. And then I saw the Republican Party, and I didn't understand all the intricacies, but I said, okay, they're for business, they're for capitalism, they're for a strong America. Okay. And when you go back in history, they were the anti-slavery party. I thought, well, okay, there's only one choice for me.
There you go.
And it was as simple as that.
Makes sense. That again, I guess that's something I like to ask those questions because why do you think I have my own theories. Why do you think as a race, why do you think most African Americans identify with the Democratic Party? I mean, as 90%, let's put it that way, 90% identify themselves as Democrats. Why do you think that is the case?
That is a very good question, and you need to interview a friend of mine by the name of Keith Smith. But I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Republicans assumed that, if it's true, people will intrinsically get to know it. They were the anti-slavery party. They were the party that submitted the civil rights legislation. People don't realize none of the civil rights legislation. Eisenhower was the first person to submit civil rights legislation. Johnson did it, but it took the Republicans to break the filibuster of the Southern Democrats who didn't want it.
Right.
The Republicans voted 82% versus 66% for the Democrats. Every segregationist was a Democrat.
Exactly.
Now, when Dr. King President Kennedy got assassinated, Bobby got assassinated, and eventually Dr. King got assassinated. Hold on, excuse me, just a quick second. Well, there was a plate that was used as a fundraiser with Dr. King in the middle, John Kennedy on the left, Bobby Kennedy on the right. And it said they gave their all for civil rights. Well, that's not quite true. Because John Kennedy, when the first civil rights legislation, when he was a senator, he voted against it.
Right.
The second time when it came up in 1960, he voted present, basically. He didn't vote.
He didn't vote. Yeah, I mean that's a big topic, voting present. So that's something even our president did a lot of when he was senator.
Exactly.
Voting present.
Well, you ever wonder why Sammy Davis Jr. became a Republican and died a Republican? It was because when he and the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Peter Lorre, when they were campaigning not Peter Lorre, I forgot the other guy's name, but while they were campaigning for Kennedy out in Nevada, out in California, they were all, really happy to have him there. But then when it came time for the inaugural ball, guess who didn't get an invitation? Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow.
And that is when he became a Republican, and there was that famous picture of him kissing Nixon on the cheek. Now, go to the other side. Bobby Kennedy. He authorized the wiretap, J. Edgar Hoover wiretap of Martin Luther King. So how civil rights friendly was he, or could he have been? The only guy that took a bullet for civil rights was Dr. King. But yet they marketed that plate, and because the Republicans, either through naiveness, stupidity, or lack of marketing skill, didn't do anything, guess what? It became the de facto standard. It was sold into millions of households.
And that's something I always like to point out to people is that as a race, we really don't have any leverage with anybody because of the fact that we just vote so blindly democratically. It's bothered me for a while now that's been the case, and I think it has a lot to do with the entitlement programs that have been given out that have affected black people. We kind of feel that those are the things that are helping us, but at the same time, it's been a lot that's kind of stood in the way of our overall success. There's a lot of these different programs that are, in the beginning meant to help people, but in the long term, they've hurt our community and some of the housing and those are the kind of things that, again, some people might think are helping us, but it's definitely not helping the overall, overall.
Can I give you a statistic?
Please.
In 1964, 8% of black children were born out of wedlock. It was 4% for whites. 1964.
Right.
45 years later, and about $11 trillion later, the figure is now 70% for the black population, 50% for the white population. Families, as we know it, were devastated by the government. You know, the old saying, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you.
Right.
The legislation
listening to this, because this is facts, not fiction. If you're listening out there, this is really important information you're listening to here.
You cannot.
I think that is become a crutch in our community, and we've never gotten off that crutch. To be honest, that's my personal feeling. Democrats can say they care about our community, but a lot of the programs are just not helping. I mean, we're not. It's almost like a bad word now. The idea of preaching abstinence in schools.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we've gone wrong. The more we're trying to remove God out the equation, the worse we're getting as a country, our communities in general. It's gotten worse and worse because of that.
I cannot agree with you more. Because I would have thought.
I'm going to ask just a few more questions here about the campaign, because the highlight of this month in particular is I like showing black conservatives throughout the country that are running for different positions and showing that there are other options. I believe in that, and showing people that I'm not the only one, you're not the only one. There are options out here, and people just need to be known. It needs to be more publicized and more well known, because like I said, the more research I've done on you, sir, the more I've respected you. I see that we have some other common bonds in common. You have 3 daughters. I have 2, and I always jokingly say that's why I'm such a big believer in the Second Amendment. And I saw your YouTube clip, and I couldn't help but laugh. So that's you said the exact same thing that I said about that. What are some of the stark contrasts and maybe some of the candidates between you and maybe some of the other candidates that are running, Mo Brooks and Parker Griffin? What would be some of the defining things that would difference you between those gentlemen?
One, I'm more proactive. I have a plan of which to use teamwork. I go back to my military background. There's a thing called combined arms, where instead of trying to do everything by yourself, you find other people like-minded. You know what? In this day and age, there are even Democrats who we may be on the opposite side of the social spectrum, but they want jobs for their people too. We can find common bonds and things that will help the American people. Number 2, I'm not going there to get along with these folks. I'm going there to fight for the first thing on my oath for is for the Constitution, and 2, for the people in my district. But in order to do that, I also have to work together with people all across the political spectrum. For the biggest thing I talked about earlier was getting manufacturing back into the United States to provide jobs for people at the lower end of the social order so they can start moving their way up.
Right.
And there's enough data out there now that any thinking person, I believe we can form a coalition to lower corporate taxes down to at least 10% or hopefully to 0, because corporations, let's be blunt, they don't pay taxes.
Right.
The people that really pay the taxes are the small businesses, which produce most of the job. The big boys, what they do is pass their costs along.
Right.
The guy who has the corner store at the end, he can't do that. He can't pick up and move to another country. So we need to be able to give the big businesses and the small businesses that are actually generating most of the jobs the same opportunity for them to function without the heavy hand of government. I'm the only one with a military background. The only one who has a technological background. Let me give you a quick example. We lost a space shuttle last year because we didn't have a backup for it. That would have been a question that someone in Congress should have asked.
Right.
I would have asked that question because I know that when I used to fly in the Navy, I was a helicopter pilot on board the carrier. You know what? During the day, we had one flying and another one in 15-minute standby. At night, we had 2 going. If we're going to put people up that we spend $5 to $10 million to train, and we send them up there knowing that human beings are far from perfect, Why did we not have a backup to go up there and get those guys instead of letting them take their chance coming in and killing them all? No one asked that question because very few people have the experience of being in the service or the technical knowledge to know that, you know what, no matter how great your equipment is, if you're going to put people up there, you need a backup.
Right. How well do you feel that your military experience, as far how do you feel that it prepares you, obviously being a leader, how well do you think that's prepared you for this run in Congress and obviously if you were to be elected, dealing with all different kinds of people?
I've dealt with all different kinds of people from my first day in the military. Actually, and throughout all of my business career, let's put it this way, I've always been like one of one in the room, if you know what I mean.
Definitely.
So I had to learn how to deal with everyone.
I go to a lot of these GOP conferences. I know what you mean.
Okay. 2, my district is heavy into military research and development. I understand that when I was out at sea, there were weapon systems that were in development when I was just a year old. One of them is called the Aegis program. Because it took 20 years to move that from drawing board to testing, development, and then finally fielding, I know more than any of those other guys why it is important that we maintain a strong research and development program. It cannot be started this year, stop next year, started the next year. It has to be a consistent program because we have enemies. The administration wants us to believe that, we just need to talk to people and we will all get along. Human nature has not changed. As Ronald Reagan said, there has not been a war that was started when someone was at the top and the other guy at the bottom. It's only when everyone is equal that people go, let's take a shot. Maybe we can take them. You know what? I was always taught, we're not there for a fair fight. In the military, we don't want a fair fight. We want to totally dominate the other guy so much that the thought of getting into a fight with us is, they go, nah, it's not worth it.
Exactly.
We're in a point now where this administration wants us to be equal with everyone else. That's when conflict takes place.
Exactly.
And that is something that I know personally because I've lost buddies in 9/11. I lost buddies flying in Afghanistan and in Iraq. So I take this personally. It's not a, brief me and I'll do my best. No, this is a knockdown, drag-down fight with me. This is something that is of extreme importance.
Excellent.
And from a business standpoint, you know what? I've listened to these guys. I've talked to business leaders here, and my knowledge of the industry works a whole lot better. Not works a whole lot better, but they understand that I understand what their needs are. And I've been going around this place for the last 7 months talking to people, and think of this. A black guy in northern Alabama who has a shot to be a congressman. I must be doing something right.
That's exactly. And I've been, just so you know, I've been getting all kinds of different things here on my chat board as people are listening to our interview. They're saying that, giving all kinds of suggestions. They say it would be smart to try to influence the change in the Republican Party so that the policies become more appealing to black people. I mean, you're getting all kinds of suggestions, so you got to check out the chat board when you get a chance to.
All right, I will. But here's the thing. Since I am not really beholden to the establishment, I want real change. I want real good change that makes us, one, not just, winners in the GOP, but I want more minorities, blacks, in the GOP because, you know what? We're a conservative people.
Exactly.
We need to get involved and change the process. And I hate using that word because it was so co-opted the last time.
Right.
But
now we need change we can believe in. It's actually, like I said, a lot of black people are very conservative. We just don't identify ourselves with the Republican Party. Our religious teachings and everything else we've been taught all our lives are are very core to what some of the conservative core values are. It's just that, again, when you're talking about political process and a political party, we haven't done a good job of reaching out and showing that, black people can be Republicans too, and that's definitely been one of my goals with my radio show, and again, trying to reach out to people and show that, there are other options.
One of the things along those lines, I read an article from a lady in Newark, New Jersey, and she was in the project, and she was asked why did she never vote Republican. You know what her answer was? No one ever came to ask me.
Exactly. I've the conference I went to, I explained we got to change the playbook a little bit. Don't wait just till election time to show up in certain communities. Try to and put that grassroots operations in there now. So by the time elections and these things come along, it's natural for us to be in these places and getting the same respect and attention that a Democrat can walk in and get. So
right.
I think that's a key part of it. And again, that part of it, that part of evolution, or that part of the change is essential. If the GOP wants to grow or anything like that will be a big part of it. And people like yourself are going to be instrumental in making that change, I believe.
They have no choice. They have no choice but to move in that direction.
Exactly. That's kind of like, if that's the one thing that if you could take a positive out of Obama becoming president, that would be some of it, is that maybe they're realizing now that there's some weight or some weight to actually pay attention to the black community, and there are black Republicans that are reaching out that want to do that. So I mean, it's just a matter of us putting a plan in order on every grassroots level to make that happen, to make that goal a reality.
That's it. And if they want to survive, they have to adapt. I'll give you one quick example to back up your point. Lamar Alexander up the road here in Tennessee, senator, he gets 36% of the black vote. Any Republican that can get 36% of the black vote, you've got to drive a stake through his heart to get him out of that office.
Right.
But yet some people are just hard-headed, and they're so stuck in their paradigm that they don't see it.
Yeah.
But
we definitely, as now that Parker Griffin has switched to the Republican side, is there any Democratic candidate that they identified yet that they're going to use as a Democratic candidate that you'll be hopefully running against?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to read the paper, but there's 3 of them in there in the race now.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the front page of the paper says 3 Dems gain 3 for 5th district. Okay. And we have a guy by the name of, I don't even bother mentioning their names.
We're not worried about them. I just wanted to see if they even figured out anybody yet. Now that their guy jumped ship, that kind of throws a lot of people in a vacuum of who's going to step up to the plate. But I think that from the GOP standpoint, as long as you're hammering out your differences, I don't know. Again, I don't see how anybody can take someone that all of a sudden jumps over. And Parker Griffin, if you're listening, I hope you're invited to try to come on here and clear that up. But I don't see how someone that's voted so liberally over the last, how long has he been in office?
A little over a year now.
That he could all of a sudden switch to the Republican Party, and even more amazingly that the GOP would be okay with that. But I really do think that. How did you feel about Mike Huckabee giving you the recommendation? How did that come about?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I was just stunned and amazed about it, because I was interviewed by HuckPack sometime in April, and the folks that interviewed me, after about 10 minutes, they looked at the paper and they looked at me and they said, I don't have anything more to ask you. You answered it pretty straightforward.
Right.
Because I thought it would take us an hour. It only took us about 10 minutes. So we sat and talked about it for a while, and at the end she said, I'm going to try very hard to start generating a nomination for you.
Wow.
Not a nomination, but an endorsement.
Right.
So I was like, okay, great. Well, meanwhile, we were thinking of, again, business military. How do you get your name out there if you haven't been, a political hack or crony for the last 20-something years.
Similar to one of your challengers. I won't put him out there, but that sounds like how I found out about you is one of your supporters emailed me everything that's going on about this. So he said someone's been there for 20 years. I won't put him out there, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I looked at this as a branding exercise. What do? Hey, you throw a big event. So we hired Huckabee to come down, and what I asked him about this was how this happened was because, excuse me, while he was coming down here, his daughter Sarah was receiving all these emails and all these things about this guy Les Phillip in Alabama. Well, he told her, hey, I'm going down there next weekend to do a show for speaking engagement for this guy. And he looked at what he saw. I looked at my website, liked what he saw. It was pretty straightforward. Just like my website now, I don't pull any punches. I don't say I'm going to do something that I'm not planning to.
Right.
And he goes, I like this guy. So I was down in Birmingham visiting a friend, and the lady who runs the Huck Pack calls me and says, is there something you forgot to tell me? And I'm like, what? Not that I know of. I'm just, I'm down in Birmingham. I'm doing a little politicking down there.
Right.
And she goes, well, you got the Huck Pack endorsement. And I go, you're kidding. She goes, no, it just came through. I knew nothing about it.
Wow.
And it just turned out that he saw what my stance on the issues were, because if you go on there now, there are 10 or 11 of them, and they're pretty straightforward. There is no double talk.
Right. And that's what I noticed on there too. And that's
how that came about. Nothing more, nothing less.
Congratulations on that, because I know that's a very that's probably an endorsement that's hard to come by. So knowing the kind of person that Mike Huckabee is, I know he wouldn't do it unless he honestly felt that you were a good candidate. And listening to his speech, he obviously thinks very highly of you. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I guess a couple final questions here. What kind of events do you have coming up in the near future? As far as political events, where will you be coming up soon? Any big events, parties, or anything like that coming up anytime soon?
For the next few weeks, we're going to be basically solidifying our support with industry and donor support, and we have some things that are coming down in April and May that are in the, let's just say, preliminary stages right now.
Right.
But there are things coming down.
Okay. Well, I hope that we can continue to have you coming on the show. I want to encourage everyone to visit the website. If you want to know more about Les Phillips, visit the website. Can you give the website address for me? www.lesphillip.com. LesPhillip.com. LesPhillip.com. I've got a caller here, Les, that's been on hold since we've been on the whole interview, and she's from Oklahoma. And she said she had a question for you, so I'm going to let her ask this question for you real quick. Do you mind?
Not at all. Bring it on, as they say.
All right, let's bring it on. All right, I'm going to take this call here. Caller. Let me see if I can get her on here.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
You're on the air with me and Les. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
loud and clear.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm Arlene Arnemy from Oklahoma, and I believe I asked you this question before online, but I wanted to make sure that it was on the record, loud and clear. To my knowledge, the only black person has been J.C. Watts to have refused to join the Congressional Black Caucus, noting that it was a race-pimping type organization, divisive, and was a race-based caucus.
Okay.
If you are elected as the U.S. Congressman, will you refuse to join the Congressional Black Caucus? And if you do, what would you do to defend yourself against attacks from the likes of Jesse Jackson, who did attack J.C. Watts when he refused to join the Black Caucus?
Well, I will not join it because I have never joined, nor will I ever join, any organization that runs counter to the Constitution of the United States. That is what I swore when I was an 18-year-old boy in 98-degree weather in Annapolis, Maryland. That is the document that has made this country and made us who we are. I will never join anything that runs counter to that. And as far as the Reverend Jackson and Sharpton and the rest of the guys, you know what? If I have to just take those lumps, I will, because the bottom line is I'm an American first. Period.
All right. Thank you. And I will be supporting you, even though I live in Oklahoma, but I do support other candidates outside of my state because I believe that the support, we know what goes on in other states will affect me in Oklahoma, whether people know it or not, not just Oklahoma, but California, even though I supported Scott Brown, because his vote affects me in my state. So I will be supporting you.
Well, thank you. And I want to plug the website. There's a big old donate button on it.
Oh, don't worry. I will be doing that tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Arlene. You have a good evening. God bless you.
Okay, God bless you. Good night.
Good night. All right.
Any more questions out there? You got me for another 10 minutes?
I'm gonna jump on real quick to see if I can see if we had anybody else on the chat rooms, because I was getting a lot of comments on there. I actually had someone. I was hoping Lexi would get. If she's listening, I hope she was gonna give me a call. She said she was gonna be nervous about asking you any questions, but I told her, don't be nervous. Just give us a call. It's nothing. It's nothing you can't ask us here. So, Lexi, if you're listening out there, Lady Gerd, give me a call. The calling number is 347-996-1375. I'm going to go real quick to the chat room to see if there's anybody that wants to ask anything here.
Okay.
They say, I got somebody that said, Democrats will punish North Alabama. Thanks, Parker Griffith. We got, let's see, and this is North Alabama does always support the military. All right, Lexi, well, if you're not going to call in, I'm going to wrap up these questions. You said you're going to be down at CPAC on Friday?
Yes, I'll be there Friday night and Saturday. I couldn't make it Thursday night because I have a healthcare debate at NAACP week at the College at A&M.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to meeting you when you come down there. I'll be there Wednesday night all the way through. So I'll be working trying to get some more interviews and sit downs with people and trying to really just bring more getting answers from those people to bring to the people. So.
Okay.
I really, really appreciate you coming on the show. Again, I can't tell you enough. The more that I read about you, the more I respect you. You seem like you're going to be a great candidate and a great congressman. So if anything I can do to lend my support, I will. And I hope you come back on the show. If anybody listening, make sure you go to lesphillips.com. Hit the donate button. Support him. This is a great American. And I really appreciate you coming on the show.
It is my pleasure, and anytime you need me, you can call just coordinate it with Melissa, and she will take care of you.
All right.
And I would love to be on.
I'll see you down at CPAC, and God bless you.
God bless.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was Les Phillips. I really appreciate him coming on the show tonight. That's what you call a great American, a great leader. We're going to follow that race down there in the 5th district very closely. Like I told everyone over the Black History Month, I'm trying to get as many great qualified black conservative candidates on the show as possible. I'll continue to do that regardless of the month, but I think it's important that, especially in my community, that we show there are other options and great candidates throughout the country that are trying their best to help out this country get in a better direction, and I really appreciate Les Phillips for coming on the show. We got about another 35 minutes left in the show, so if you want to call in, let me know how I did on the interview and how you felt about Mr. Les Phillips being on the show this evening. Again, check out his website, lesphillips.com. He's running for 5th District in Congress in Alabama. So the other issues that I was going to talk about tonight, I want to thank everybody that's watching on Ustream. I got a few viewers on Ustream. We're going to talk about, I hope we can get some people calling in or joining on this. We're going to talk about all the new issues that are happening this week. We put on some new sanctions in Iran to deal with some of the problems we're having over there. I want to talk about a little bit more about the Tea Parties and the Tea Party movements. The Sarah Palin was at a Tea Party convention in Tennessee this weekend, and she's received some criticism and also a lot of support from people that from being at that event. And I want to hear what the people in America have to say about that. I think a lot of people have to take what the Tea Party is and understand that it's a grassroots movement of people that are just not happy right now with either party. It's a lot easier to say that they're conservatives because that's maybe the morals and the foundations they have, but people are frustrated with Republicans and Democrats right now, and I think that's where the strength of these grassroots organizations like the Tea Parties and the Tea Party movements have gained so much momentum, because it's not that they're just totally frustrated with the current administration. I think that they were frustrated before this administration took over, and it's just maybe gotten worse. And so I think that it's been, that is why it's picked up so much steam. Now, on a note that I will take issue with, and I guess people can call in. We talked a little bit about it yesterday on Twitter. Was the issue of the cheat sheet, the Palm Pilot, the Sarah Palin. Right now, my stance with Sarah Palin is I think that she is a viable candidate in 2012. I think that a lot of people in America resonate with her because of the fact she is what I would consider a normal person. She's not, she wasn't born and bred to be a politician, and I think that's what a lot of people identify with, and I don't have an issue with that. I think that that's, a reason why a lot of people can, look at her that way is because, we're tired of just career-long politicians that are only thinking about how they can keep their job as opposed to helping out the people that actually voted them in. So give me your opinion on that, people. What do you think about, one, with the Tea Party movement, and two, what do you think about, I think we talked about it before with Sarah Palin. Is she a good candidate? Is she someone that you would like to see running for president in 2012 and maybe even possibly 2016? Depending on, she has decisions to make. She's right now as a Fox contributor. She'll have to make a decision or not if she will want to be a politician or if she's going to want to actually, maybe be a pundit. And, a career in that is just as, you can have effects on people by being a pundit, but it's just a matter of what do you want to choose? Do you want to be a pundit? Do you want to be a politician? And she'll have to make that decision over time. I would assume that it's going to be a lot of seasoning that she's going to need, but again, once you start getting all the seasoning and the teaching, you kind of lose the whole essence of being just a person of the people, because now you've been trained to think like a politician. And I think that is the part of Sarah Palin that is refreshing, is that she doesn't just think like everybody else in D.C., and that is what her appeal is. Now, me personally, I have an issue with the fact that she's calling out the president on using teleprompters and that sort of thing, but she's writing down the notes in her hand. Again, if you're gonna throw stones, you shouldn't live in a glass house. You should not attack someone on issues that you're not yourself totally absolved from. So again, those to me are small issues, but if they're not dealt with the right way and if they're not approached the right way, they will become bigger issues. I got a caller. As usual, when I get to talking about Sarah Palin, I will get some involvement here. So I'm going to take this call here. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, this is Brother K. I'm in your chat room.
Okay, how you doing today?
Good. I'm another black Republican.
Thanks I appreciate you listening in, Brother K. How did you like the interview I did with Les Phillips?
That was great. That was great. I just wish a lot of other people could have heard it, especially the people that we talk to here on Block Talk Radio. and I thought it was great. I just think
the thing is, what we got to do, Brother K, and where do you live at?
I live here in Pennsylvania.
All right, so, I'm going to be having, in 2 weeks, I'll be having a candidate running for governor on the show, Mansfield. He'll be on my show. I get the exact date, but I think it's really, we have a responsibility to show the different black conservatives running for positions throughout the country, as long as they're standing on the right issues, obviously, to kind of bring the message to our communities that they're everywhere. It's not just one candidate in one place. That's part of my goal, part of my reach.
Which is great.
And so, as far as the show tonight, what did you think? What did you think about the interview with Les Phillips in general?
I thought it was great. I thought the questions was good. I think that his approach and what he wants to do was on point. And it's just, I think we as a group, we're in a group by ourselves. Number one, as far as being black or African American, and then we're Republicans. We're not just convincing America. We've got to convince our own people too. So it's like we've got two fights on our hands. And so I thought you did a good job. The questions were great, and he comes across as a very open guy. I don't think he pulled any punches or held anything back. It seems like he just comes across that, what it is, what it is. What I got to say is what I have to say, and I don't think he held back. So I appreciated it.
Great. How many times? This is the first time you ever heard my show?
This is the first time.
Okay, all right. Well, usually I do it on Tuesdays at 10 p.m., but because I've been trying to get different guests on here, especially in the Black History Month, trying to get as many black conservatives, I'm going whenever I can get a date. So if you join me as a friend, maybe I can send you messages and keep you updated on what all.
Sure. Now, where are you out of?
I'm out of Detroit, Michigan area.
Okay. Because you have Annie in your chat room. Anytime Annie comes to somebody's show, it's a good show.
Oh, okay. Well,
if Annie, she's in your chat room. If she's on your show, then.
Well, I appreciate Annie for coming on the show. Annie, if you're listening, thank you for coming on. I got Brother K involved, and I appreciate anybody who's listening and listening to the show. I really do. So. Now,
you had mentioned Sarah Palin earlier, and I'm forgetting your full name already.
Wayne Bradley.
Okay, Wayne. And you had mentioned, like, Sarah Palin, of course. She's got everybody, in an uproar, which is great. I thought that even when John McCain brought her on board, it sort of gave the party a little awakening. And so,
a little life.
Yes, it gave life. And so now the Democrats, they're saying, well, it's no way she can win. It's no way she can win. It's not the idea of her winning or running. It's the idea that with her around, it'll keep the Republicans motivated at the same time. It'll keep the Democrats on their toes. This is one, if she comes on board, she'll be more dangerous campaigning for a presidential candidate than running herself. If she decides not to run but back up and campaign for whatever candidate that's going to go against Obama, that's going to be even more dangerous. You see?
Right.
She'll be able to go in with the shield and talk about his faith and talk about his as far as whether he's a citizen or not, his birth certificate, his college thesis, and everything else being hidden. She'll be the one to be able to throw that dart, and I don't think it'll affect the other candidate that's running.
Right.
So she's going to be very essential in that, and then the Democrats know it. They want her to go away.
Oh, yeah.
They want her to go away, and you've seen it just in the Tea Party alone. When she spoke at the Tea Party last week, between that and the Tuesday night that Scott Brown had won, those two things should give everybody an indication of November 2010 and also 2012.
Right.
And so all we need to do as Republicans is just get a candidate and rally around it, and also as blacks just continue to do what we're doing. Because the upside down part of it is a lot of our people, as far as black people are concerned, haven't woken up yet.
No.
They're still asleep to the fact of who Barack Obama is. If Barack Obama would run today, a good majority of them would still vote for him, knowing something just isn't right.
And I think that's the thing that bothers me the most is when I ask people, like, well, why did you vote for Obama? And you know what the most the most usual answer is going to be for from black people because he was black. I mean, you say that it's not the truth if you want, but I mean, a lot of honest people will say that, and again, like I said, they might still vote for him now, even knowing certain things are right. And I just wish sometimes that, like you said, we need to wake up, and that's what I'm trying to do with my shows, is trying to give people something a little different, something to think about. I guess is just the idea is that not that he's not an awful person. It's just that you gotta think about everything that's going on, and is he really looking out for you, and how does he look at America in general, and decide if that's the kind of person you really want as your leader.
Exactly. And so as I said, I usually tell people the story of Hank Aaron. We remember when he was, I don't know how old you are, I'm telling my age here, but I remember when he was on his way, I'm 47 years old, I turned 48, and I remember when he was on his way to breaking the record, Babe Ruth's record, as he got close, he had different types of threat on his life and things like that. They had to hide him on an island, as a matter of fact, 2 days before he broke the record. And so the night after he broke the record, he went home, and he said when he woke up the next day, he ran to the mirror, and he looked in the mirror, and he noticed one thing. He was still black.
Exactly.
You see?
Exactly.
Out of all the hype of Barack Obama, when people woke up Wednesday morning after Election Day, what changed? Other than the dark face that you voted for to put in the office, what changed?
I think that's I think that's a certain issue right there. It's like, was this a change you had in mind? And are you satisfied with that change? I mean,
no.
What has happened different in the last year and a half that I guess at this point will make you believe that you made the right decision? If that's what you were voting for this change, what change has happened, and are you satisfied with it? A lot of the Black Caucus members and leaders are taking Obama to task on that now, because they're starting to realize that that everything is not the way they thought it was going to be.
No.
And again, I don't know whether they thought he was really going to be a miracle worker and he was just going to make things happen overnight. But it's the fundamental differences that he has that kind of it concerns me, and the way that they're willing to work around the Constitution, ignore people that are telling them what they want done. The promises he's broke as far as the health care bill, and he's actually still trying to push it through even now. I guess he's maybe part of the strategy is to let it die down, some of the fury die down, and still try to sneak it through. But I just hope that people are vigilant and staying paying attention to what's going on right now.
I think that it's important, especially for black Republicans and black conservatives, especially in this time of the deal, is just stay consistent. Stay on the ground and stay consistent, because a lot of people are just not getting the message yet. We went through, I don't know if you went, I'm sure you went through it, we went through all the name calling, the Uncle Tom calling, and this and that, and now it's time that they realize, wait a minute, regardless of what you say, the truth is still here. This man still wants to push us towards socialism.
Yeah,
and until we understand.
That's where the lack of the education in our community and knowing about all these things, that you can kind of get away with it without people asking questions. And I think that's where us as black conservatives, we got to, even if we're not running for anything, we got to take the responsibility of that and bring in that kind of education, that knowledge.
Exactly. When you look at a Christian stance from a Christian point of view, the enemy teaches you or tells you, look at what you're losing, when God says look at what you're gaining. And so when it comes to the black vote, it's definitely the opposite. And the only thing that's pointed towards the black man, that Democrats have brainwashed black people for a long time. You're going to gain something because something's owed to you, but it's never told what was owed to you and what you're going to gain.
Right.
And if you look at the black society now, nothing's changed.
No.
In all these years, nothing's changed, but yet and still, they still give their allegiance to the Democratic Party.
And to be honest, I think Obama, in his journey of becoming the president, he's done more. He's kind of strayed away from actually reaching out specifically to the black community, because he doesn't want to appear as the black candidate.
No, because when you look back, and you're right, Wayne, when you look back, he had said to black America that he is an offspring of the movement, talking about the civil rights movement. When you look, nobody in his party has ever marched with Dr. King. Nobody in his family or anybody around him has had anything to do with the Civil Rights Party, the Civil Rights Movement.
Right.
And so where does he consider himself an offspring? They have me on BTR on a couple of shows back in early 2008 that says if Barack Obama is voted in as president, he will not give a job to anybody in the civil rights movement, and in his main cabinet there will be no one that has a darker skin than he does.
Right.
And if you look, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the thing I guess that bothers me is a lot of people, some people, because he did so well of not answering questions during the campaign, a lot of vague questions and answers, and the media gave him a pass because they wanted him to win.
Mm-hmm.
He's been able to slide in and still effectively do that right now, even as president. He's in campaign mode, even as now he's been president for over a year. He's still
yep. And you're right. I agree. He is in campaign mode. If you notice, even in his speech, the State of the Union address, campaign mode, he keeps saying, and those people in Washington, not realizing those people that are in Washington, that's you. You're Washington now.
Yeah, he's one of them. And again, that is that kind of, again, the press is not going to call him out on any of that stuff.
No, but sooner or later the press is going to have to.
Yeah. Again, that's why the blogging and the internet is kind of like the only responsible reporting right now, because we're not owned by any entities and we're not supported by any of these folks. And I guess that's that's where a lot of people are going to have to start getting some of their truth from, is from other forms of information, because a lot of the mainstream media is kind of like in a cover-up mode with this guy. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to get back off and listen to your show. I just wanted to call and say this was the first time that I've listened to you. There are, maybe about 2 or 3 other black conservatives that come on, not as, I guess this is probably one of the most powerful guests I've heard on a black conservative forum.
Right.
So
I'll be honest with you, man. I try sometimes to have people that about 2 weeks ago, man, I had Mark Lamont Hill on here, from Fox.
Wow.
Yeah, so me and him, we went back and forth on it. You can listen to it too if you go to the previous on my archives. You'll hear that me and him. We debated for a good 30 to 40 minutes. So that's part of what I'm trying to do, is trying to bring on some recognizable names and voices to go back and forth with me. And again, with the candidates I'm trying to bring is just to bring them some more exposure, because again, even in the party sometimes they're not getting the support they need.
No, and you know what though, and again, I know we mentioned black, we mentioned white and black conservative, but what I think I want America to see, especially black America, when it comes to pointing towards socialism, it has nothing to do with really color.
Nothing to do with color.
It has nothing to do with color. It's the main fact that there's someone that you were given a freedom that people have died and fought for, and there's someone that says, no, I don't want them to have that freedom. And they want to come on board and take that freedom from you, you see.
Right.
And so people need to realize that everything that our people, our ancestors have fought and died for, and people that are still today, we got young people going in the service, fighting and willing to die so that we can keep this freedom. So you sometimes you have to, but black and white is not even an important issue when it comes to socialism. It's not about whether he's black or white. You're not losing your blackness. You're about to lose the freedom that you have.
That's where a lot of people were missing the message with the whole Tea Party movement. It wasn't about black or white, because that's what they really tried to make it a nutshell of. It was more about people scared of losing their liberties and their rights.
Exactly.
And they really wouldn't have cared who the president was at that point. It was about the policies and the things that they're doing to take our country in this direction. So I was invited to speak at a Tea Party speech, and so I can't believe that if they were these just racist and that kind of thing, I don't think they would have ever invited me the same way they invited Les Phillips to speak at an event.
Right. And
nothing to do with that. It's more about
right. And I'm sure, just like if you go to an NAACP convention, you might find some black nationalists there, the same as you would go to a Tea Party. You're gonna find some racists there. But at the end of the day, you have to look at underneath the rug and say, wait a minute, here's the main reason why they're there. At the end of the day, color is not even in there. It's the idea that you have some freedoms there that the opposition wants to say, no, get rid of them. I spoke to someone that actually in the service, and I asked him about Barack Obama and this civilian army he wants to try to get, and I was told he's already started that process already, knowing that when he walks away from the Constitution or even try to do away with it, our military won't be under his jurisdiction.
Right.
So he started that already. So that goes beyond I'm black and I'm this and that. Your blackness is not going to be important at all when you lose your freedom altogether.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you calling in. Like I said, giving a perspective. I appreciate it. I hope you continue listening to the show.
I will do that.
And like I said, every week we do something. So listen in, call in. Your opinions are definitely appreciated. And God bless you for calling in, man.
All right, and a shout out to Annie in the chat room.
Shout out to Annie in the chat room. Thanks, Annie, for
Take care.
bringing Brother K in and giving me a call. Thanks, Annie.
All right.
Listen, have a good evening, bro. All right, I got another caller here. I'm going to take this call. Caller, you're on the air. I got another caller here. Hopefully they're still on the air. Oh, the caller from the 509 zip code, area code just hung up. If you're still listening in, give me a call back. I want to hear from you. Forgive me sometimes for the technical difficulties. I'm doing this all by myself. I'm hosting the radio show, working the switchboard, got Ustream going on too, so sometimes it gets a little hectic over here, so forgive me. I grabbed the call and had you on hold there. If you're interested in calling back, give me a call. The calling number is 347-996-3175. Shout out to Love Politics 1. Give me a call. We go back and forth all the time. 347-996-3175. I want to talk to you in particular, man. Give me a call. We go back and forth every day on Twitter. Give me a call, man. 347-996-3175. Love Politics 1 on Twitter. I'm calling you out, man. Give me a call. I'm also live right now on Ustream. I'm about to go off Ustream. Let me see. We got this call here.
Hi.
Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Lexi from Washington State.
Lexi,
and I just wanted
how are
to
you
call.
doing?
I just wanted to call and tell you how much I appreciate your program and the information that you get out. I think it's important that we communicate together and understand each other and just really support good candidates. And I wanted to throw in my support to Les Phillips. And first off, tell him thank you for serving our country so well. And second, I'm just really impressed with his bio and his whole ideals. And I just really hope that people get out there and support him.
I hope so, too. Who would ever think with someone with a name like Lady Gurr that she sounds so sweet on the phone? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So you enjoyed the interview?
I really did. I enjoyed it a lot, and I listened to you, and I just appreciate all that you do. And
I appreciate you too, because you're like one of my favorite friends on Twitter. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening on the show. And I'm gonna get plenty of pictures for you at CPAC.
Oh, good. I am counting on those pictures. And I did meet Sarah Palin this summer. I actually camped out in 29-degree weather overnight with my nieces and my daughter. And she is amazing in life, and she's so genuine and sincere. And everything that you think that she would be, she is. And I just loved her spirit and the whole support that she gave us as a person. She was so talkative and asked questions and was so sweet. And I really
think that's her power is her connection with people. I mean, that really, to me, that's the thing that resonates, is her connection with people, just normal people. And that, like how you feel about her, you keep hearing those kind of comments. You got to wonder.
I know. We had 3,000 people there in line, And this is her. She goes to the back of the line first with trig in hand and makes sure that she shakes hands with everybody in the back of the line that she sure won't get in there to get their book signed. And I thought, what a caring, classy person to do that. And so I'm really impressed with her, and I'm glad that we have people like you and her, and I really like Glenn Beck. They give us a voice.
Right.
And
I'm hoping I'll get. I'm gonna try to get it. I'm gonna try to get a picture with Glenn Beck. That's gonna be my one, especially for you, right there.
Yes, you are, and you better tell him that someday I am going to meet him.
Well, we're gonna make that happen. Watch, we're gonna make that happen.
You're gonna make that happen for me, WB. I'm counting on it.
I got your back. I got your back. I'm gonna make sure I do that when I'm there. I'm gonna have my flip video with me and everything. So I'm gonna get some live footage and some pictures. It's for you. So you already know.
I am just gonna follow you till the end. And well, anyway, I've got to go because my family's looking at me. But thank you for all that you do, and tell that beautiful family of yours hello. And
thank you.
Give your dog a bone, okay?
Thanks a lot. God bless you for calling in. And I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get all the pictures I can for you.
Thanks, Wayne. You have
a nice. Thanks for calling in. And have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night. That is one of the real reasons I love Twitter. I love Twitter. I'm addicted to Twitter. It gives you the opportunity to meet wonderful people all across this country, all across the world, and that right there is one of the real, the reasons that I love Twitter. It gives you a great chance to network and talk with people from all over the world. Love Politics 1, man. I'm waiting for you to give me a call, man. We go back and forth every day. We go hard. We go arguing back and forth, man. Give me a call. Let's just talk about everything I talked about with Les Phillips and all the issues you might be disagreeing with me on, man. Give me a call, 347-996-3175. We only got about 7 minutes left on the show. Again, I want to hear from everybody. I hope that everybody enjoyed the show tonight. I'm going to continue trying to bring some very credible and interesting guests to the show. That's been my challenge now, is going out and trying to find people that I think the American people want to hear from, and they can give us the answers that we're looking for. So I will continue to do that because I can see that people appreciate that. So any questions tonight, give me a call, 347-996-3175. What are your feelings on the Tea Party movement? Sarah Palin, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from the people. So give me a call, 347-996-3175. I really enjoyed the interview tonight with Les Phillips. Again, I encourage you just to go to his website if you want to get more information about him and learn about his candidacy and the campaign coming up in 2010. Because again, every congressman, every Senate vote, those people they might not be in our state, but they can affect our future. So it's important that we know about candidates from all across the country. So in the upcoming weeks, I will be debuting a show called Fix Michigan Mondays. I'm working on right now trying to get some good candidates to come on there every week so we can have intelligent debates on fixing Michigan. Michigan is the rest of the country might not be exactly where we're at right now, but they could be there if we're not careful as a country. So I think that the Fix Michigan Mondays will be coming up soon. I'm working on some guests for that. I will be going to CPAC next week, so I'll have a show next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I have a show coming up with. Let me find out who we got coming on next Tuesday. And I will give you the guest on there. But we're going to have some really good guests coming up for the next couple weeks. And I'm really hoping I can get some good interviews and some good sit-downs with some people down at the CPAC conference. And if there's anybody you guys want me to talk to in particular, you give me a call and let me know. I want to help get the people that you want to hear from and get some answers from people. So I really appreciate, all the feedback I get from people, following me on the show, and I definitely want to continue to bring people that you're interested in hearing from. So next week out on Tuesday at 9 p.m., what am I going to have on here? Going through the schedule here. Yeah, we got Bill Richardson, we got the Congressman. All right, let's see. Okay, I got my schedule here, friend. Sorry about that. Next week, next Tuesday at 9 p.m., I will have Bill Randall, and he's running for U.S. House of Representatives for the 13th District of North Carolina. So again, I'm trying to bring people that are the future policymakers and future leaders of our country, and giving them an opportunity to talk to people without, again, this is unfiltered. I'm not a professional media person or anything like that. I'm a person of the people, right here just doing a show. My radio show is usually hosted right here in my home office, so this is not some major production. This is something that I'm working hard just to do, to provide something for the people to make their own decisions. I'm conservative, I'm a black Republican, but I'm not making that the mandate. And I invite people from different belief systems and different parties. So I got a call here. I'm going to be taking this call. Let me take it. Caller, you on the air?
Hey.
Caller,
you
how
there?
You doing? Can you hear me?
Hey. Yeah, hang on just a second.
Okay.
There. I wanted to mute you on the internet.
You usually got to step back from the computer or wherever you're listening from because we get those echoes.
This is Victoria.
Hi, Victoria. How are you doing?
Fine.
Thank you so much for getting me that interview with Les. I really appreciate it. The more I did research on him, the more I really came to admire the man.
Well, I was calling to thank you for helping us. Because, I think Les is awesome as a candidate, as a person, just as a general human being. And I'd really love to have him for my representative because, that's what I'm looking at. He can be mine, my congressman. I'd be proud to have him in Washington. And so, and I appreciate the opportunity to help him gain support because he needs it. He's in a very desperate battle here.
Right. Sounds like a tough battle, but with people like yourself, spreading that message. We just got to be, we got to help him out and give him the support he needs to again, someone that's actually for the people. I think that's where a lot of these parties both sides are losing sight of that. So, I appreciate you giving me the referral and giving me someone that I could get on the show that, is someone for the people.
Well, and I think that's what makes him special is because he understands. He's been there, done that.
Right.
And he's not a career politician. He's not, in that mode, that mindset. He's, just like the rest of us, he's worked for a living.
Right. Well, that's the one thing D.C. does not need any more of, and that's career politicians. That's the last thing they need. So we need people like Les, people that are, again, sticking to the Constitution, sticking to the things that made this country great. And that's why when I read about it, I said, this is definitely the kind of person I want on my show.
Well, like I said, I just really appreciate, I couldn't log on to the chat room on your blog thing. I was having trouble with it. But Lexi and I were steadily tweeting. This one guy told us afterwards that he learned tag team tweeting from Lexi and I because we were repeating you and Les.
I appreciate it. I really do.
So it went pretty well over Twitter, too.
Great. Well, let everybody know that they can listen to this recorded. They can listen to the interview tomorrow. And, again, that's a great way to spread the word some more is to take that email the recorded interview and send it to people, and they can hear the interview with Les.
Well, I think both of y'all, I think both of y'all were great. I think y'all got some stuff out that, everybody usually dances around.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in. I got about 20 seconds here on the show, so I'm about to
Thanks.
get off the air. But God bless you for coming in. And
God bless you and have a good night.
Thank you, Victoria. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Everybody for listening to the show tonight. I'm going off the air. Go to listen to it again on conservativescool.com. Thanks a lot. God bless you. Have a good night.